your brother, Justin Verlander. Is he moving?
Yeah, no. Justin
Okay.
is ultimately staying with the New York Mets. I believe that. After his start the other night, again, he's been dominant for the last 2 months at this point. But he was asked about some of this trade stuff after the game the other night. And basically, one thing important to note, full no trade clause.
Yep.
Which would involve the team saying, hey, can you do this? Do you want to do this? After the game the other night, he said, hey, Billy Epler has not approached me about anything. I would hope if something were to happen that they would come and speak to me and ask me if I'd be down or blah, blah, blah. And said, I signed a multi-year deal here. I did not sign a one-year deal. I came to win with the New York Mets, and that is my goal. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think he stays with the Mets.
And you talked to Rosenthal about this.
Yeah, I asked Rosenthal about him, about Scherzer, about the Mets in general. What is the Mets' plan? Because you look up and they're 7.5 back from a wild card spot. They obviously spent all of that money. Do you become sellers, or how do you go about this? And I think we have a clip now from Ken to play.
I expect them to be limited sellers. So what I'm talking about is David Robertson and Mark Canha and Tommy Pham. I just believe it's too difficult to trade Justin and Max Scherzer. They have no trades, full no trades. They have complex contracts that obviously pay them a lot of money. It just is going to be a really difficult thing to do if you want a big return. And if you want a big return, you're going to have to pay down the contracts. And I don't know that that is worth the Mets' while. They will still need pitching next year. And, yeah, you have to hope that Max and Justin are better.
I think by complex contract, he means that they're getting paid $40 million. And that's a lot for a team to take on. And I think right now, a team with the way Justin's pitching, maybe you'd have somebody take the risk. Max right now, again, Ken saying you'd have to pay down. That doesn't happen. But he also did mention that he thinks they're, I don't know the exact word he used, but soft sellers, if you will. David Robertson, Tommy Pham, Mark Canha, those guys that are, those guys could potentially be on the move. We'll see what happens with the Mets. They have I think it's a 4-game series starting today with the Washington Nationals. I think you have to sweep that series.
To win that series.
I think if you do not sweep the series against the Nationals, that's what I'd say.
All right, let's head on to our next player, Blake Snell. Pitching right now in San Diego. Is he going to stay there?
Blake Snell has been arguably the best pitcher in baseball for the majority of the season at this point. Not a great start, but ever since he figured it out, and we talked about him, he figured it out because of golf and being more carefree, and it's legitimately turned his season around. I think Snell stays. That's my gut, is that he stays. The Padres are in a similar sort of situation, whereas it's like, what are you doing? You spent all this money. And then you have names in Blake Snell and Josh Hader who are being talked about as, are they going to move? And we've even heard them say, as in the Padres say, those two guys we're going to shop around. And then they said, okay, no, we're going to hold on to them. And then they go and lose a series to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And it's like, well, maybe you should just trade them. I don't think they're going to. I think these teams that spent a lot of money to be good are going to hold out hope until the bitter end that they can potentially turn this around. And I think they keep Snell.
Frustrating times to be a Padres fan and a Mets fan. All right, let's move on to our next player, Eduardo Rodriguez. Pitching in Detroit right now. Is he going to stay there?
I think Eduardo Rodriguez is on the move. And I think the perfect fit, Alex, is the Cincinnati Reds.
Ooh.
Let me explain.
Okay.
Now, he does have a bit of a contract situation going on where he's got a few more years on the deal. However, there is an opt-out, his opt-out. And with the way he's been pitching, I would imagine he does opt out. But a team like the Cincinnati Reds, who are fun, they're exciting, it's where you want to be. You're certainly, the ball is in your court to win the NL Central. Obviously, they got to figure out how to beat the Brewers because right now they can't.
Yeah.
But I think he's a perfect fit and a guy you would want to keep there long term. So I think trade for him, get him in-house, court him, as we've been talking about over the course of months with all of these
for
players,
these rentals,
specifically with Shohei, but obviously that's not happening. Bring him in, show him that this is a place that's committed to winning. Show your fan base that this is a place that's committed to winning, because they haven't proven that in well over a decade, that they're actually committed to their future. And you have all these players now that should be there for the rest of time with the Reds, right? Ellie, Matt McClain, Spencer Steer, TJ Friedel, you got Andrew Abbott, Hunter Green, Nick Lodolo. Make that your core for the next decade. Add a veteran pitcher into it like Eduardo Rodriguez. Show him it's where he wants to be. Re-sign him to his deal. Get the deal done before the season ends and go from there. I would love this move.
That would be a good move. Sorry, I was watching the TV. Shohei Ohtani's pitching right now, and he was covering first, and a runner ran through his arm and his hand, and he was shaking his hand. I think anything, he said he's fine, but anytime something like that happens, you just kind of hold your breath for a moment.
Yeah.
But he's saying he's okay. Okay. We're okay. We're going to be okay. Let's move on to our next player. Another pitcher, Marcus Stroman. Is he staying in Chicago?
Marcus Stroman, I believe, is going to be the biggest pitcher moved at the deadline. I do believe.
Where is he going?
Look, if you're going to get rid of Bellinger, you're going to get rid of Stroman. I do. If one goes, the other goes, or they're buyers and they don't decide to sell. But as you know, I believe Bellinger goes, and I do believe Marcus Stroman goes to the Houston Astros. Is my pick.
Okay.
Look, the Astros always make a big splash at the trade deadline. Now there's a new GM in town, Dana Brown. How does he go about things? But it's the perfect fit. It's the biggest arm available. It's the fit that you've been dealing with pitching injuries all season long. Pair him with Framber Valdez at the top of your rotation. Next thing you know, you have a dominant top of the rotation for the playoffs. Your offense is getting healthier. I just think this is the big splash that we've become accustomed to the Astros making, where we know they're going to be good. We know they're a playoff team. They tend to, at the trade deadline, just make a move that puts them over the top and over the hump. We saw it in 2017 with Justin when he got traded there. And then we saw it a couple of years later with Zach Greinke when they made that big splash at the trade deadline. They always seem to get the big arm at the deadline to help them go get to the ALCS, get to the World Series, and potentially win a World Series. And I think they do it with Stroman this year.
And this is something